Hey guys, Dylan from the Geek Duo here, and today I'll be bringing you my reaction to Shadowhunters Season 1, Episode 10, titled This World Inverted. A portal will lead Clary right to Valentine, but first she must navigate a tranquil alternate reality where Shadowhunters no longer need to exist. So, we're going straight out of the last episode, which had very little to do with the books, into this one, which has nothing to do with the books, at least from that synopsis, because, alternate dimensions and all that are a thing. It's explained that the demon realms that are overlorded by greater demons are alternate instances of Earth, just with different histories in which demons won. There's never been anything like this. Well, technically there was, but that was a memory thing. Well, not memory, mind manipulation thing, not an actual alternate reality. So, yeah, never anything like this. So, it's gonna be interesting. Plus, this one, just based off the thumbnail, seems to be more fairfolk related, not demon related. So, anyway, let's get this started in 3, 2, 1, go. Also, just in case you can hear it, it is raining at the moment, so. The land over. Is it over the hill or under the hill? And the portal just happens to also be able to work transdimensionally. Hmm. You're just willingly. It's fair. actually saw any Sealies really utilizing nature magic very early on in this. I don't know, could I? Mm, I do like the effect paused when he stopped focusing on activating it. That's not something that's usually thought about. Ah, there we go. I'm going to attribute that to the fact there was still some magic being used, but as soon as I mention it, it sounds about right. That is definitely one way of announcing it. Again, this was only minorly hinted at. It didn't actually become a part until book 4. Book 4, I'm pretty sure. Mm. I wonder if that's who I thought it was. In which case, this raises questions towards their actual meaning. Hmm. She did pull a claws out on a Sealy. That's a ballsy move. And let me guess, they need Melion there to keep the portal open. And the reason they gave the demons can go through unabated is because something's going to happen. That's a great way to start. Interesting that even without the Shadowhunter culture, they still they still got together and everything. I guess you sort of have to with the whole Clary needing to exist, but of course Hodge is a. Of course he is. Ha ha. So that's a reference to the books because Luke owned a bookshop. He wasn't a cop. Was. The girl in the background had some very interesting hair. Is he an Ellie? I didn't recognize Isabel to begin with. That is. So here's a question. In the books, there's this thing that states Shadowhunter blood always wins out. Huh, interesting. Simon and Isabel were quite close. But yeah, Shadowhunter blood always wins out. Unless they personally get infected by vampirism or lycanthropy, any combination would be a Shadowhunter. So if there's no Shadowhunter culture, but they're still descended of ancient Shadowhunters, does that mean they could have an innate affinity, sort of like demigods in Percy Jackson? Simon. The beauty of an angel and the ferociousness of a demon combined. Because it's got, yeah. They want to turn every world like theirs. Called it. And I guess he's not as needed for concentration as I thought. I want to go to a tarot reading. I've always been curious about that stuff. Jim and Meow? Or is that church? Okay, he's got both of them. Church was the Institute cat. Well, I was a little scared. He said centuries ago. It would have to be under 5, because wasn't he born in like the 1500s? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, December 6th, early 1600s. And given the fact that um, he's half demon, he would have to be born within to a demon. So that means it's not been as long as I thought. He's got the Book of the White. Is Luke still a werewolf? Interestingly, we've never heard anything about the Grey Book. Which is meant to be a book containing all of the runes. Clary first encounters it at Magnus's place the night of the party. Hmm. Magical talisman, I guess. Was that Izzy or the alternate dimension Izzy a message to her? Let me get special parabatai. Hmm. Why would there be such a thing if the parabolic bond is so unique? Like, you can only have one of those runes on you in your life. Uh, so we could really put on the creep factor. I always do love when they add those little quirks of dialogue to say to make reference to the actual truth. Like, I wrote a story, a fanfic for My Hero Academia in high school that actually utilized that. Published it with a mate of mine. It's probably still up. You can probably find it. Yeah, I started zoning out because the screen got all blurry. I'm assuming that it's every time she's fading. That is when it. And this is gonna throw off Jace's fighting, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Alex seems a lot more confident in this. This is a complete reversal. Even down to the amount of rings on. Yeah. Yes, because that doesn't look sus. Almost clocked Melion when you did that. Hmm. So it wasn't demons that he sensed. So they don't have the animus of Seraph's blades and everything to kill it. Oh. Well, someone's been hit by demon poison. With no Aratsi or anything to heal, Jace is dead. Well, if the poison travels with the blood, then that would mean that this Jace is actually gonna survive. Hmm. See, she's not doing it out of spite or anything. She just doesn't have a better option. Lydia is a strange character because she's not painted to be likable, but she's also not a bad guy. Antagonist is a good way to frame it. that's not working. That's Michael? Hmm. That is an interesting development, I guess. Uh, Not really sure I can comment on that unless they've completely probably gave off more than I should just by saying that, but okay. So, Michael Wayland is back in the picture. The man who's been dead for, what was it, 16 years? I think it, not 16, 6. Because they're 18 now, so it's 6 years instead of Jace being 16. Right. So, that is interesting. The hell was Michael doing locked up in a cabinet? So this was a very interesting episode. I always do like these kinds of episodes where they get transported into the body of an alternate version of themselves where everything's completely different. And as I said, there's like sly set comments and that made to reference who the people actually are in the real world or in the alternate dimension or whatever it is. I always do like those kinds of stories, and the threat of her potentially being assimilated if she loses focus on things too much to the point where it actually happened for a little bit. That was a nice touch. You don't normally get that aspect added into it, or at least not from my experience. But yeah. The events of this episode were fairly predictable. What with the whole demon getting through the portal because Jace and Meliorn couldn't fight. I thought Jace would have had to protect Meliorn while he had his focus drawn, and that's why a Seelie Knight wasn't able to dispatch the demon. But that wasn't the case. Meliorn just got knocked away, which is questionable given the reputation of Seelie Knights, but they needed some stakes for the episode, I guess. Him Huh. I'm going to assume that him saying there are more demons on the way was there were more demons coming, but once the doorway was closed, they stopped. Because the way it was framed in the episode was that he says that Jace goes through, and then Alec and Lydia show up saying, oh, it's not that demons were coming, it's that there were other Shadowhunters who were going to learn about this event and know that the Silly has doorways to alternate dimensions. But that can't be the case, because Sillies can't lie, and he explicitly said more demons on the way. He didn't say there were more coming. He said there were more demons. Like, he explicitly said the word demons, so I'm just going to assume that they decided, oh, door's shut, guess we can't go through, and then turn back around. Or they were dispatched by Alec and Lydia on their way. I thought, when I saw the ground shaking and him touch it, I thought that was the Silly Queen reaching out to him. It's like, I know what you're doing, stop this. But no, it wasn't. They basically left the world the way they found it. Sure, Magnus and Alec have been introduced to each other. Magnus now has his powers back. And there's a dead demon to deal with, but other than that, there's also the fact that the Jace of that world may have memories of Clara going down into the basement with Magnus and still be upset at her. Then again, question. If demons have been defeated and the rifts are sealed, that doesn't mean there are no demons. It just means that they can't freely travel through to that dimension. So there is still the possibility that Magnus's father was summoned up by a mortal to conceive, help in the conceiving of Magnus. Meaning, it still could have been centuries before Magnus's birth. Though he did know what a Shadowhunter was, so I think he'd have encountered at least one. The interesting thing is, the rule of demons is, once they are killed, they disappear back to their home dimension to heal. They can be killed permanently in alternate dimensions, but it's rarer than just dispatching them back to their home dimension. So for that demon to not disintegrate, or as it's described in the book, folding in on itself, like crumpling like paper, that would imply that that demon's home dimension is that world. Though I'm assuming that's just another change because Melion had the blanket statement of demons don't disintegrate in that dimension, so you'd think that rule would apply to all of them, making the disintegration seem more of an aspect of the Adamus Seraph Blade than the actual killing. There's a lot to speculate on in this episode. I wonder if... because as I said, they're bringing a lot of things from future books into this. Like, Simon and Isabel were not the close as they were in the other reality in this part of the story. Though they were closer than the Simon and Isabel of this show. They were closer on the spectrum towards the show than the alternate reality, but yeah, at this point in the story, being book one, Isabel was seeing Simon as another way to, I guess, disappoint her parents was the way she described it, which is why she was so often seen with downworlders and a mundane and all of that. It was all a bit of fun, never anything actually serious. And then Simon was warned off of her because of that behavior. But they do actually grow close. All of them grow close together to the point of actual friendship and that, so. But, yeah. There's a lot to think about. Also, the ending is interesting. I can't really elaborate on that because one way or another that I describe things, I'm going to run the risk of giving spoilers. So, I'm just going to end this one here. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do because there are things in this episode, both from as a start and all the way through to the end, that could have lasting divergent impacts to this story. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.